Hello everyone. If you've seen my community post over the last week or so, and many people would remember before the new year, the 27th of December, it was a very, very difficult night, that night, the 27th. I'm sure everybody has seen it, and everybody's probably heard about it by now. That we waited 4 hours, just to put it straight up, 4 hours for an ambulance for my father. My father took bad. I will get into all the details now in a second. But the main purpose of really this video, because nothing will ever change, let's be fair. Our TDs and Dáil Éireann don't give a shit, to be told. They don't give a shit about anybody. They don't only care about themselves. Let's put it that straight. Nothing's ever going to change. They're not going to pay any extra people to do a job, walking the ambulances, etc., etc., because they simply do not give a shit. They only care about their back pocket. So let's just get that straight up. It's the fact of the matter that we need to be aware of. How many people like my father, elderly people, who worked all their life, paid their way all their life, how many of them people were left lying on the ground to die? And that's pretty much sums up everything. And still, as we speak now, how many elderly people are waiting 2, 3 hours, 4 hours, God forbid, even longer? How many young people even are waiting? Citizens of our country who work day in, day out, who pay their taxes, and who are abandoned by the state. Let's just call it a nail a nail. Let's just put it that way. And I would love to ask my elected representatives, if they took bad during the night, would they have to wait hours for an ambulance? No, they wouldn't. They'd be there within a minute or 5 minutes. Let's put it that way. They'll be specially sent out to look after the elected members, the Oireachtas or anybody else. So don't conjure yourself that, because I never heard one TD, all of them know about it, I'm sure, all of them know about it, all of them heard about it. The majority of TDs in this area would have heard about it, local councillors. Not one has come near me to say, we do better, we do this, because they know that's bullshit. I don't gather that, because for years this has been happening. I've talked about it for years myself, and nothing has ever changed. Just before we go any further, because that's just my whole opinion on the first beginning of it, I just want to take, because again, it's all about people. As Sanna Mowan said the other day when I was there, I had the luxury of being in her presence to listen to her speech. It's all about people, and it truly is. And I just want to briefly just talk, and you probably wonder why I mentioned that. When my father took bad, we went to the neighbours, and it's all about people. It's all about your neighbours, your friends, your family. They came straight away. One of them was in bed. At 10, it was just before 10:55 or so when we went to get the neighbours. One of them was in bed after walking a whole night, after walking a whole day, going to bed an early night, and bed, like without any socks, without any shoes, came straight out straight away. Came out to help and to ring 999. And we were very, very thankful to that woman, and she knows who she is, and I'm very, very grateful. My father and everybody is grateful to her. Did not leave until the ambulance left at nearly 3 o'clock. When he finally got into the ambulance, I'll get into that in a second, but I just want to thank that woman sincerely, because it's all about people, and I'm sure everybody can agree that's a great neighbour, and it's good to have good neighbours, and I just want to appreciate that. And another woman too, who waited up there, up in the cold, on the top of my road here, waiting for the ambulance, at the very start at 10:55, when the ambulance was running at 10:57. She waited there, and she didn't leave until 2:30 when the ambulance came that morning. She did not leave. She didn't leave for a second. And that shows we have very good neighbours, and I'm very, very thankful to the neighbours around here in Butters Bridge, because it is people. At the end of the day, Sanna Mowan said it's people. The most important thing is people. Nothing else matters but people. And I wish the elected representatives in Dáil Éireann would think about that instead of their back pocket, because at the end of the day, that's what matters to the members of Dáil Éireann and Shannon Éireann. It's their back pocket, because as I say, they don't care about people. It's their own back pocket and their own interests. It's not the people's interests. And we see this time and time again, because how many people have to, like my father, in the same situation. But as I said there, and I just wanted to, it was 10:57 the first call to 999 went in from the neighbour, and subsequently after that, we were just told to put him on it, because he was blanked out pretty much. When I went down, he was bad that night before he took a turn, but yeah, when I went down, he was, I suppose, blanked out. You would call it unconscious too, I suppose. So we got him onto the ground, etc., in the recovery position, because the biggest concern for me and for everybody there that he would take a heart attack, because my father suffers he had stents in his heart. He had a huge operation a few years ago. He has diabetes too. He has a bad heart, as I say. He's on hundreds of tablets for different things. And obviously man is 71 in the old age too. So that was the main concern for me too. But yeah, it was a long, dreadful night. The first 2 hours particularly. I know I'm all over the place here, but the first 2 hours were dreadful, because it was hard to keep him awake because he was falling into a really unconscious or going into, I suppose, I don't know how you would call it, but long story short, it was very, very difficult. Them first 2 hours were extremely difficult. One of the toughest hours of my life, to be totally honest, because it was extremely difficult. He could barely move his legs. He felt cold all over his body. I thought that was the end, to be totally honest. It was terrible. Like, words can't describe. If only there was a video, even if only there was a video just to show you how bleak it was, everybody in the room, because we didn't know was he going to survive. And the reason why we didn't bring him in the car or anything like that, even though I don't have transport, the neighbours would have brought him in. We were told specifically by 999 not to move him. And so was that not to bring him in, to leave him there for the ambulance, and that they would be out soon. Such an understatement, out soon, when you hear the next bits. But that's what we were told specifically. Only for that we would have brought him in, because the man in 71 having to lie on the ground for nearly 4 hours, it's not great. And especially a man that had to go out and work when he was 14 years old. Think about that. He worked all his life, never looked for handouts. And, the state, and to play it simply, the state has abandoned him. The state forgot about him. The state didn't care. Simple as that, to put it nicely. And that's the way I see it. He was left to really die on the floor, to be totally honest. In the state's case, they didn't seem to really care. And I don't blame the ambulance drivers. They were lovely people. The nurses in Cavan General Hospital, great people. Couldn't do enough for them. It's the people at the top, the people at the HSE, the people, the CEO of the HSE, the people sitting on the rosters in Dáil Éireann. They're the people to blame. I'm not blaming the people walking on the ground, the paramedics. They're one off their feet. They're doing their best. I'm not blaming them. It's the people at the top, the people getting the multi-millions a year. They're the people to blame. Our elected representatives who pretend to care. They were around here before the end of Christmas, saying the moon out on stars, we do everything for elderly people, going to give them a big rise in the pension. But then after the election came and went, they didn't give a shit. And if this was before the election, you bet you find every TD in the country would be on Shannon's side, Northern Sound, saying, oh, this is a disgrace, we need to do more and all that. Not one peep. So that just speaks volumes, to be totally onto elected representatives, that not one of them has come on and said to Northern Sound, this is a disgrace, we need more. Not one of them. And the same with here, they haven't contacted me. None of them will come and say, we need to do more, I bring this up in the Dáil. If that was before the election, or the moon out and stars we promised. But they know I won't listen to that bullshit. They know straight away I won't listen to that bullshit, because for years this has been happening. And it's only getting worse, and it's not getting better. But yeah, just to say, because I'm all over the place now, as you can tell. But yeah, the first call was 10:57, just before 11 o'clock. And there was another call put in from another neighbour at 11:50, around near 12 o'clock. Just wonder where the ambulance was, because for the first 2 hours, I say, it was extremely difficult. It didn't look like it was going to make it, to be totally honest, because it was desperate. It was generally very, very desperate. But then he kind of came back to himself. He got better and he was able to talk, which was great, because it was great after the first 2 hours that he was able to talk, at least. Before that, he was only muttering and stuff like that. So at least he was able to talk and stuff. It was reassuring. That he was able, but what I'm trying to say, 11:50 we rang for the 999 again, just to see what was the story, why were they not out, because this was deemed as emergency serious, because he's an elderly man, he's the age, and then obviously his heart condition and stuff. It wasn't just he fell or something like that, it was a very serious thing. And the problem was that he had a few weeks before that, at the beginning of December, he had a camera put down his throat in Mulholland Hospital, because there's an ulcer, I suppose we call it, a big boil in his stomach, and that was the problem. That busted, and that caused an infection, of course. So that's what happened. So basically, he threw up all his stomach along with blood, etc., because it was a very big blister, and that busted, and that caused an infection. So it was very serious enough too. And especially with heart, the main concern for me, and the main concern of everybody in the room at that time, was that he would take a heart attack over the annoyance and stress of it all. That's what I was afraid of. Thanks be to God it didn't. But that's what I was very concerned about. And that's what I think everybody in the room was very concerned about, that he would. Because he often heard of people who were in accidents and stuff who have bad hearts. They don't die on the accident, but they die afterwards with the shock and with the annoyance and stuff. That's often what happens. So thankfully, and again, we have to take the man upstairs, because the man upstairs, I said the Lord's Prayer many times during that night. And my prayers were answered. The man upstairs listened to me. So I just want to thank the man upstairs for making them get through the night and still being here today. So thank you very much to the man upstairs for that. But the third call, then there was a third call put in about nearly 1 a.m. that morning, to see where the ambulance was, etc., etc. So pretty much what was said to them two cars, just to say, they didn't even know it was related. They didn't even know. That just goes to show you how much they didn't. Well, they were busy. It was the busiest night of the year for the HSE and the ambulance service. But what I'm trying to say, in the richest country in the world, this shouldn't be happening. In the nicest possible way, it shouldn't be happening. In the richest country in the world, that's full of money. I hear my TDs every day of the week saying, "Oh, there's that much money, we don't know what to do with it. We're running the money, we're flying the money. There's money everywhere, but there's no money to look after elderly people like my father, who worked all their life." You know, it doesn't make any sense, but sure, look at, that's the country we live in. That's the people who we were elected to the Dáil Éireann to represent us. But yeah, the toll car at 1 o'clock, and the person on the other line in 999 pretty much said they had no paramedics. It wasn't that they didn't have an ambulance, they had no paramedics. Simple as that. There was no ambulance pretty much in Cavan. There was no pretty much, and I know in all of County Cavan there wasn't one to spare to send out. So that just goes to tell you, and it was pretty much said straight in 999 that there was no ambulance. At 1 o'clock in the morning, on the early morning, the 28th of December, there was not one ambulance available in County Cavan for any emergency. So God forbid if there was a serious accident, there would have been no ambulances at all. Nothing at all to send in all of County Cavan. Think about that for a second. Because first world country, I wonder why I go out and pay my taxes, to be totally honest. I generally wonder, because it seems to only go to the TDs and the elected representatives that's getting thousands of euros. That's where it seems to go. It's not going towards the paramedic, because at the end of the day, the paramedics who are in the ambulance have to pay. They have to pay for their bills. They have to pay their bills, and so we're not blaming them. And if they're not getting enough money, because it's a tough job, and they're not getting enough money, and they're going off to Australia, and nobody would blame them, to be totally honest, because they get treated like shit, to be totally honest, and that's as simple as that. And the same with the nurses in the hospital. They're doing their best, and the people at the top are getting big bucks, and they're only getting the small bucks, the trickle-down economics, if you may say that. But yeah, so that was what pretty much was said to us at 1 o'clock there by 999. There was not one ambulance in the whole county of Faber. So you're probably wondering, how long did it take? So it was from 10:57. Before that, he was bad too. He was throwing up, and he was throwing up blood, etc., etc. But at 10:57, that's when the first call to 999 went in. And then the long ordeal, finally when the ambulance turned up at 2:33, 2:34, around that. And by the time he got into the ambulance, it was 3 o'clock in the morning. Yes. And you're probably wondering, that was the end of the ordeal. He was in the ambulance, he was there, he was going to the hospital. He was there. The night was over. It wasn't over yet, unfortunately. The next thing is, he waited an hour. They didn't have any beds in accident emergency to admit him into. So he waited an hour in the ambulance with the paramedics. And what that meant too, that the ambulance that was dispatched for him had to wait an hour there at the hospital too, because they just couldn't put him onto the ward and stuff like this. He took another turn. So he had to stay in the ambulance for another hour. So it wasn't too nearly, I think it was 4:30 or so by the time he got a room in Cavan General in the accident emergency. So it was a long ordeal for a man of 71 who had a bad heart and stuff like that. A man that worked all his life, paid his way. It was a long night for him. It was a long night for me, etc., for my family too, and for the neighbours too. And again, I'm sure everybody would agree, my neighbours are the best people. There's no doubt about it. And it just goes to show you that, again, what Sanna Mowan said the other day. It's all about people. Nothing else matters. Money and stuff might come and go. You might be the richest person in the world, but if you've nobody around you, if you don't have good people around you like your neighbours, people that will go to the ends of the earth to help you out, it doesn't matter. Simple as that. It's people. That's all that matters. And Sanna Mowan was 100% right, and I'm proud to say that I'm a lot more cheerful since I went to that event in Dublin too, because if you look back in the videos, it was desperate. I went live 6 days ago. I was a broken man, to be totally honest with you. It was very traumatic to me, particularly somebody who suffers with anxiety and stuff like that. It didn't help the situation, and particularly too, and again I forgot to mention this, but I took a turn at one stage too during the night, that few hours around 12 o'clock that night. I had a panic attack, like something like a panic attack. I slumped to the ground for 3 minutes and kind of couldn't nearly move, because it was like all the pressure was getting to me, and the annoyance that he might not make it tonight, and all because the ambulance didn't make it. All that was getting to me. So thankfully I found the shred somewhere, but for 3 minutes I was completely just on the ground, not able to move anything. But I got the will from somewhere to get back up. But yeah, so I was lucky I didn't end up in the hospital too. To be told, I know I'm laughing about it now, but it was quite desperate at the time, because it was just, the thoughts that were going through my head and stuff like that about all this. It's just it's no family, and that's what I'm trying to say. No family should have to put up with it 4 hours, regardless of who they are. Shouldn't have to wait 4 hours. At most, the minimum should be an hour for an ambulance anywhere in the country. Especially again, one of the richest countries in the world. That every day of the week I hear my TD saying millions of euros, billions of euros. There's that much money, we don't know what to do with it. So yeah, that's what I just say. But nothing will ever change. As I said in the beginning of this video, nothing will ever change, unfortunately. I could sit here until the cows come home and say about the suffering me and my father and my family experienced, the neighbours too, taking that he wasn't going to make it. But nothing will ever change, unfortunately, because the people in Dáil Éireann don't care. Simple as that. They have held not one. It speaks volumes to me and to everybody else that not one TD, not one councillor is here at the moment saying I'm going to go in and shout about it. Not one. They've heard about it. I haven't got on to them yet, but I will soon. Don't worry about that. I'll be on to them. And I won't listen to much bullshit from them. They might bullshit other people, but they won't bullshit me. Simple as that. Because I know the country's full of money. I know that they're getting all well paid. They're getting their big salaries. The people that are driving these ambulances are not getting much money. They're working hard. They're seeing traumatic experiences. People that are lying, dying. Young people that are dying in accidents, etc., etc. And they're working hard. They're working hours and hours, overtime, during Christmas and stuff like that. And these people are getting tuppence. And the people at the top of the HSE, CEO of the HSE, 300, 400,000 a year to sit in these arse in the HSE over this traumatic, all these traumatic experiences, people losing their loved ones because ambulances take too long. And the people at the top are getting hundreds of thousands in the HSE, including our elected representatives, hundreds of thousands of euro. And it speaks volumes. It speaks volumes. The silence is deafening. Let's put it that way. Because not one has come to say anything to me. Not one. So take that as you will, but I take that as something that it's a great sign to show that not many of them care. Because before the election, they were all saying, "Oh, the moon out and stars, we look after pensioners." If that's looking after, one of them said to a man up the road just beside my father too that we look after Fine Gael. He said Fine Gael looks after the elderly people. Think about that. Fine Gael looks after the elderly people. Did they fuck, to be told? Excuse my language, but did they fuck? You care about the elderly people, because an elderly man at 71 that worked all his life in this state, I didn't see one Fine Gael come here and say we'll do something, we're going to change something. Not one. So where's Fine Gael? Where's that? Is it all just bullshit before the election? Because this was before the election, believe me, it'd be in the front page of every newspaper in this local area. They'd be crying, all the politicians would be up in arms crying about it. But not one, because the election's over, they don't give a shit. After that, they don't care, as long as they get their seat, that's all that matters. And it's only the truth. And again, we have to say it, because you hear the local media all the time here when something happens. I remember a young man in Monaghan had to wait 3 hours. 3 hours. 3 hours is tough enough, especially with a broken leg on a football pitch. Had to wait 3 hours in the media, and I heard all my local representatives, disgraceful, all this. All the talk of the day, nothing ever changed. Nothing ever changed. Monaghan Hospital still, the emergency still closed. Nothing ever changes. Pretty much nothing ever was changed. So all the talk, it's all talk and all waffle, to be told, I'd say, because unfortunately nothing will ever change. And the main point of this video, because I was going to people said to keep quiet about it, by fuck I will keep quiet about it, but the main point in this video is to appreciate people. First of all, appreciate people, because we simply don't know what's going to happen. I often said this, and you heard me saying it before. We don't know what can happen in the next hour. We don't know what can happen the next day. We don't know what can happen the next week. At Christmas there, we were having a Christmas dinner, everything was lovely, everything was fine. Not one thing happened. But, a few days later, we never could have expected that. Nobody could ever predict it. And it's all about people. And it's important to spend time with your family, with your father, with your mother, whoever it may be. Because we don't know. And it's the thing too that we have to appreciate life. Because life is a gift. We don't know what can happen. But in the time we are here and out on this holiday, because it is a holiday, we don't know when our holiday will end. But the most important thing is to appreciate people, and to appreciate the time we have, regardless of how small it is. And for what we have too, we have to appreciate it, because we don't appreciate it until things happen like this. Your neighbours, etc., etc. Because, again, if you have good neighbours, if good people around you, it's a gift. It is truly a gift. Not many people can say that in other countries, but it just goes to show you our country, our county Cavan here, Bullis Bridge, where I am, We have good-hearted, decent people who are good people, who do their best for their neighbours and look out for each other. And that's the main thing. It's all about people looking out for each other. And that's hits the nail on the head. It doesn't matter how rich you are, how poor you are, as long as you have people that can look out for each other and are with each other, and they are at times of crisis, they are your true friends. They are your true friends and your neighbours. The people that don't care, don't ask for anything. Straight away, as soon as they hear somebody's in trouble, drop everything and go. There's no words to describe that kindness and that understanding and that. There's no words. There's generally no words, but I'm forever grateful to my two neighbours and to my other neighbours too, who helped me, who brought me out to the hospital, things like that, to see him. I'm forever grateful. All the words and prayers and etc. etc. And from even people on social media too, on Twitter, on YouTube, I'm so appreciated of everybody. I'm so appreciative of everybody. So thank you so much for the prayers. I really do appreciate it. Thankfully I'm in a lot better form myself now, and thankfully he's doing well now. He's doing well. He's talked about going fishing again, which is great. It's good that he's talking about that, because it would have been, when I was there that morning, the first 2 hours, I didn't think there ever would be a fishing again he'd be going to, but thankfully he, as I say, he made through. But the only man we have to thank is the man upstairs for that. But yeah, so he's a lot better form now. Obviously he's on a lot of tablets and new tablets and stuff like that, but thankfully things have worked out, and thankfully he's in good form now, and thankfully I'm in good form, I have to say too, because I was very shocked after it all. That's why I took a break from social media, etc. There was a lot of me. But I just want to say again, to the paramedics who came that night, to the hospital staff, the nurses, a huge thank you for their work. And I know they're overworked, but I just want to thank them sincerely for the care they showed my father, for the kindness they showed me and my family too. It's really, really appreciated. Especially being overworked as they are, and I just want to take that moment here, and there's no offence to them, I have no issues with them at all. It's the people at the top I blame. I don't blame the only Joe who's doing their best, and again they're doing their best, the nurses. It's the people sitting at the top, the people in Dáil Éireann, the people who are making the decisions. They're the things. So please God, me sharing this, even though I know widely none of them give a shit in Dáil Éireann, none of them care about shit. Hopefully it changes something, some way, shape or form. Even just tells people to be appreciated of the time you have with your parents, whoever it may be, just to be appreciated of life and how we just don't know what can happen tomorrow. Simple as that. That's the sad reality. It's just to appreciate every moment you spend with your family, with your friends, whoever it may be. Just that, even that, if we can get that point across, it's very much worth making this video. And I know it's a long video, but I just want to thank everybody for listening. But hopefully, please God, something will change. Because let's be fair, and this is the last thing I say, our elderly people who worked all their life, deserve it. Deserve to be cared for when they're sick. Deserve to be treated as quick as possible. Shouldn't have to wait hours. And that's the point I say. Left on the kitchen floor to die. We are a first world country. With hundreds of millions a year, people who work hard, pay their taxes. That money should be going towards looking after people who do that, and who are good people who want to do good. That money shouldn't go out towards our politicians to suck up for their selfish endeavours. Thank you. Go to me, Mark.